Bitcoin and Ethereum are blowing up. We have liftoff. The sector is on fire. We can Bitcoin and Ethereum respectively.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Crypto Defined, a TDR podcast division of Dale's Media Group. I'm Nicolle Hodges, and of course, before we get started, I know with all the hype around NFTs, you might be thinking, I just want to quit my job, leave every boring thing about my life behind, and become a millionaire through this new economy. And we're here to tell you that this is not a podcast where we give you financial advice. You know,
No, none.
No, it's not. No, we talk about what we care about, talk about what we do, and it's for you, almost like a buffet for you to choose what works for you specifically in your life based on your unique diet, where you're at in your life, where you're at in your career, what you want. So just putting that forward, that this is not in any way financial advice. We're not trying to convince you to do something one way or the other. So that is our disclaimer before we dive in to another episode covering NFTs. Joining me is
That was great.
Varrell. Anthony, anything to add to that disclaimer?
No, I mean, it's pretty much aligned with everything that goes on in the sector. I mean, and kind of just the way that I've always carried myself from an investing perspective. I mean, what our opinions are informational. It's not meant to be financial advice. And if you're going to invest your hard-earned money into any of these assets, I mean, you should definitely do your own research before jumping in.
Mm-hmm. So I bought a Fame Ladies NFT just this morning, actually. I got to send out my first good morning tweet to the community.
Yeah, those are those get addicting. I've got like a group of guys every morning on Twitter that literally, if I tweet out GM, everyone just starts hitting it like right away.
And
it's community.
And we need to, and so let's talk about that super quick right off the top, because like we said, there's its own language. It's being created around this world. So what does GM signify?
It's just good morning. I mean, it's kind of just like it's good morning in Twitter speak on crypto Twitter, and it's kind of just acknowledging, hey, like I'm getting started with my day. I hope everybody's doing the same, and let's get it off on the right foot. It's actually funny because there's also terms such as like NFA, which everybody puts behind their tweets, which is not financial advice, and then there's also DYOR, which is do your own research, which we've already covered on the intro of the podcast. So, I mean, yes, the language is evolving and it's finding its way into everything, just like NFTs are.
Well, there we go. And it's about building community, and it's also about keeping yourself accountable, right? You can't take you can't take pride in someone's wins just as much as you can't take responsibility for their losses.
Correct. And I mean, with this, if you wanted to look at my wallet, you can go in OpenSea and look at my wallet. You can see what NFTs I've overpaid for, and you can also see what NFTs I've won on. So I mean, unlike traditional finance where it's all private, I mean, this is all public.
There you go. And speaking of public, I mean, this episode we're going to walk someone through the process of what it actually takes to purchase an NFT. But first, if someone wants to go look at your wallet, what would you say is one of your major wins, just to get people motivated?
Bored Apes Yacht Club. I mean, I got into one of them at 7 ETH. The main one that I own is worth about 80 ETH right now. Some of the meta heroes I got in very early. Punk's Comic, Decentraland, Sandbox, the Mutant Apes. I've gotten into a bunch of them that I've had decent wins on. I've also gotten into some of them that I've got completely torched on. But luckily those were smaller speculative ones, which is why when I'm buying NFTs and when I'm talking to my friends and family about buying NFTs, it's mostly the conversation around buy blue chips, buy established ones. Yes, you're going to pay a premium and you're not going to get a crazy 100x return or something, but it's going to be a much safer, sound investment. And I don't even like calling these investments, but a safer, sound allocation of capital moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about getting in, part of what we're touching on right now is community. How important is it to be part of Discord channels and to find a community where you can be conversing about this regularly?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Discord is you can be as engaged as you want, or you can just be you can just sit there and listen to, and just read what people are saying. There's constant conversation, there's constant commerce. There's constant updates. Like, for instance, like the Bored Apes Yacht Club, like the founders of the Bored Apes Yacht Club are in that Discord on a daily basis, talking to people. Like, I've DM'd directly with pretty much all of them. And I mean, that's it. They're in there. I mean, if you're an ape owner, they're in there, they're engaged and they're speaking. And I mean, I think it's imperative that if you're going to go and launch an NFT project, or if you're going to try and get involved in the ecosystem, like, you need to be engaged on Discord.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the process of someone going from, I'm interested in this, I want to make purchases, and that's it. So let's just start at the ground floor. They have an interest. What would be the first few steps?
I mean, the first step in the process has nothing to do with NFTs. You need to establish an Ethereum wallet. So I mean, you would go on any of the sites, let's say Coinbase, KuCoin, Kraken, FTX, one of the major exchanges. Don't use one of the nascent exchanges. I mean, always keep in mind that you want to be levered to the most secure platforms. I mean, you open an account, put some money in, which you can do via ACH. I wouldn't recommend using a credit card to buy crypto or really anything that's considered a risk asset. So open the account, deposit the Ethereum. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to download a web tool called MetaMask. This is basically your Web3 wallet. This is how you purchase the NFTs and Web3 products online. So versus Web 2, where the merchant's website, you go in, you put in all your information, you put your credit card in. With Web 3, you're using that MetaMask, which is your wallet, and you're actually plugging into their infrastructure. So it reads your wallet, it interacts with your Ethereum address, it senses what your balances are, and then you can transact moving forward. So once you have that MetaMask, you can go to OpenSea, you can go to Rarible, you can go to Nifty Gateway, and you can plug in and you can transact freely once that's complete. It's really not as daunting as people think. A lot of people get caught up when they see the long string of numbers for your Ethereum address. You need to enter that into MetaMask, and then you have to make sure that's congruent with your Coinbase address, and then people get caught up there. What I tell people is, what I recommend to people is send 0.01 Ethereum upon initiation. Just do a small micro transaction to validate that you can do it, and you're not going to send it to the wrong address, and then send a greater amount of money. Right. Once you're comfortable with the process. I mean, that's what I did. I literally, with the first time I dove in, I downloaded everything. I made sure everything was set up, and I sent $10 in Ethereum to my MetaMask just to go through the process, watch the transactions validate, basically see the amount of time that accrues before the transaction is completed. And then I decided to send a larger amount to my wallet.
So I think, like, when you go through the process, it's actually quite easy, and there's plenty of resources to help guide you through that, and it explains every step. I think where the complication is, again, for most people standing on the outside of this, is all of the words that you just used are unfamiliar to them. But all the platforms, all the processes, the coding, whatever, that's new. Whereas if you were trying to explain to somebody how to go to a bank and set up an account for the first time, they also might encounter things that they're unfamiliar with.
Oh, definitely. So, I mean, distilling it down, I mean, it's like opening a Coinbase account is essentially like registering for your online banking with a bank account. I mean, they need Coinbase especially, they ask for KYC. So they ask, which is know your customer, to validate that you're a real person, not a nefarious entity or some bad actor. Mm-hmm. So you put in your personal information, you get the account, they link your bank account via an ACH transaction, and then you're free to deposit money into Coinbase. Once that money's deposited into Coinbase, I mean, you purchase Ethereum just like you'd purchase a stock in an online broker. It's the exact same process. It's like purchasing another currency. So once that's purchased, then you're transferring it to your MetaMask, which MetaMask, like I said, it's your online wallet. That's how you're going to be able to transact and bring your identity from Web3 platform to Web3 platform. And then once you're in through your MetaMask, you go to OpenSea, and it's like using eBay. It's like using StockX. I mean, they're simple marketplaces. that you can transact upon. And I mean, you can pretty much buy any NFT that you're interested in via OpenSea.
Okay, so I think that's probably leaving people with a good amount of, let's call it, homework to do.
Yeah.
Let's touch base then for next episode and talk a little bit more about like the process of minting and what PFPs are, so then they can, you know, and let's hope, and you know, this is again, we want this podcast to be something where you're involved in the process. So send us a tweet and let us know if you set something up, and we'll make sure for next episode we can touch base with everyone. And again, we'll quickly run through how to do it once more, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, definitely. And the main thing, I mean, people need to remember is the internet is your friend. Everything that we've said so far on this podcast, you can Google how to do everything, and there will be step-by-step videos and tutorials that are both video and long-form content that can walk you through everything to execute that process.
All right, thanks, Anthony. And tweet us.
Thank you.
Let us know where you're at.
Yeah. It's where everything lives. It's all NFT and all crypto.